Hey y'all, Elijah here. So today I'll be talking about the majority of my viewers and some of their issues. Generation Z. Actually, wow. According to my YouTube analytics, not only are the entirety of my viewers Gen Z, but an even smaller portion of Gen Z, aged 13 to 17. For those of you not aware, Generation Z is a group of people born from the years 1996 to 2011. I myself was born in 2004, so I'm situated somewhat in the center of this generation. Anyways, we have a problem. And when I say we, I'm referring to Gen Z. So if you're not a Gen Zer, you can still view this video if you want to. I really need a bigger audience. And because not many people know about our hardships.
This is all wrong. I shouldn't be up here. I should be back in school on the other side of the ocean. Yet you all come to us young people for hope. How dare you? You have stolen my dreams and my childhood with your empty words, and yet I'm one of the lucky ones.
I have seen people from the silent generation down to millennials and even a few of our own Gen Zers mock her. Why people, especially in Gen Z, mock her, I fail to understand. See, there's two things. One, climate change is real. ExxonMobil did their own study on it, but they buried the evidence because, of course, green paper is more important than the literal future. Thinking just like the rest of corporate capitalists, so yeah. Two, Gen Zers who are mocking her should be relating to her a lot more than they are. Like, there's no way they don't have insecurities, because they do. Everyone has insecurities. A lot of us cannot and should not be confident for our future because of how much access we have to bad news nowadays. You should know, boomers are notorious in meme culture for berating Gen Z and millennials for constantly being on their devices. But they have a point. Not all of them use this particular point, but a few do. Some of us don't follow the stereotype and control ourselves very well. Some other people fall in and above line with the stereotypes. I personally can say that I spend a good amount of day being productive and then getting to just do what I want on my phone or TV. I've always kept up with the news. From when I was in elementary school to now, I have kept up with the news within 3 hours of waking up, and on the days where I don't start the day with it, I end the day with it. I spend a very good amount of my digital time on this, especially now in 2020. As y'all know, 2020 has just been horrible. We are well aware of that. And I mean for the world. A few of us have achieved personal goals, but I'm just talking about the world in general. No one asked for COVID-19 to disturb the peace and keep us at home. To keep us at home paranoid. A few of us scared. And you can attribute that in part to the media. No, trust me, I'm not one of those Trump-supporting fake news people. This is all real. It's definitely happening, but knowing that such bad things are happening and have the potential to creep upon you is just unsettling. I've personally asked my Gen Z friends, and all of them have too attributed their anxiety to social media. Too. Because it's not like you can avoid these things by not visiting news channels. You'll just stumble across the news on Google or Instagram anyways. At this point, I think I'm constantly on edge. I think y'all might remember the 2018 school shooting spike. That was a scary time, but I'm ashamed to say that for many of us, they eventually became nothing of significant importance. I remember back in 2018, after the incident at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas, I saw a lot of YouTube comments on videos about the situation putting down the students who were calling for gun control. It was shameful. Can you not understand these students, they went through a traumatic event that could have killed them, and you're refusing to understand their worries? Shameful. Eventually, after hearing it too much, I just didn't care as much about the headline, "School shooting at Anywhere High School, X deaths." But then I stopped myself and asked, why have you fallen in line with the rest of them? Boomers are also notorious in meme culture for calling young people snowflakes. You see, Generation Z is not consisted of snowflakes. If anything, Generation Z is a generation of the desensitized. As I said, I grew up to loving to watch the news and keep up with the world events. I saw quite a few heartwarming things, but since the capitalists have agreed good news isn't profitable, you always see some bad news. Always. Back in 2015 or so, I was actually terrified of things like a third world war between Russia and the United States because Putin and Obama weren't the best of friends, and to ISIS. I think with good reason. Eventually I did become desensitized to them, though, kind of thinking to myself, they're horrible people, they exist, what can I do? So I just went on with my life. But it's now, I wake up from this desensitization to realize that we are all doomed if we continue as we are.
I guess times were easier then. If you're a man and not a minority and were comfortable with the constant threat of nuclear annihilation.
How things have changed, huh?
Gen Z lost its innocence early. I'm surely not the only one who always keeps up with the news, and I know because I've talked with friends about these things and heard to do similar activities. I mean, come on, at least the millennials grew up without the internet for the most part, and that's less stress. I mean, of course, getting the news from the TV was a thing then, but a lot of millennials who are lucky enough to have a TV only bother to watch cartoons on it, which is respectable. I don't judge about those sort of things. Some of them did care about the news, but even when they wanted to, they had to sit down, get the remote if their parents weren't using it, change the channel, and wait for the host to mention said news. Alternatively, read from the newspaper, but I think even then it started dying. Anyways, that was old methods of obtaining your news. Nowadays, you can set a notification on your phone to deliver headlines to you. Constant delivery of bad news, and that, my friends, is how to become desensitized. It does serve us a good opportunity, though. Gen Z, it's a generation of activism. We are well aware of the circumstances of our world, thanks to this knowledge we have, which we've accessed through the internet. And because of that, activism is popular now, especially in Gen Z. Fridays for Futures, unsurprisingly, controlled by Gen Z. Black Lives Matter has an extremely large Gen Z voice. But realize this, we are not the first to call for change. Black Lives Matter did not start in 2020. It did not start in 2013. They were founded in 2013, but that was not its start. It did not start in 1968, not in 1953, not in 1865, not in 1776. In 1619, some of the first African slaves were brought across the ocean into a Virginia settlement. Not here either. For the slavery of Africans, I've gone back as far as 1441. But wait, there's more. What about slavery in general? I'm sure it can't go that far back.
No, 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 no.
Okay, never mind. Granted, ancient slavery wasn't known to be based on race, but still, think about it. Slavery had only become widespread 11,000 years ago. Therefore, slavery has to have existed for far longer than, 11,000 years. Or probably, talking at least 20,000 years. So I want you to think about that. After something like 20,000 years, it's only very recently, in relative terms, that society generally agreed enough to say, you know what, slavery is not morally correct, abolish it. It's not to say it doesn't still happen. It does happen all across the world, especially in the form of underground sex slavery, but that's a whole other topic, so I'll stay off it. And why does the past matter so much if this video is about the future generation? The point is, society has done this before. We have taken down ancient institutions of human society within mere centuries. And if we were able to take on that challenge, I believe that the next generation, my generation, and the future generations ahead of us will gladly take on both the ancient institutions plaguing us and those causing obvious detriment. If we settle ancient issues, we can deal with very young ones. If you're American, maybe you can ask for health care that doesn't require you to sell your house or get 5 full-time jobs attempting to pay for a hospital stay of a car accident that you had over a year ago. But there are more important issues to overcome for the entire world. Tribalism, which is now called nationalism, racism, both likely predating even the discovery of our tool that kind of got us working, fire. I'm more than sure that's true. We were likely fighting among ourselves before we discovered fire. Civil War, which is likely about as old as the previous two. Sex slavery, which I think you should think is unacceptable, and I think that it's an unacceptable abomination. Starvation, unnecessary human suffering where capitalism has shown itself to fail. Class inequality, allowing for some to starve while some are simply too rich to care, and another obvious failure of our current capitalist system. Climate change and pollution, which is destroying the planet that we and the future generations are ultimately destined to inherit. Please, Gen Z, we're stressed. We're anxious. We're scared. Our youngest barely have 10 years of existence to their name, but we're ambitious. But we have the power. We have the power. We have the ability to shout, this is not okay. We are not asking for fucking unicorns. We're asking for our right to a fucking future. We are the future of humanity. We must demand Pax Mundi. Gen Z will awaken. It's all down to you, my fellow Gen Zers. Advocate your future. Wake up. Rise up. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and just for this video, share among your Gen Z, millennial, and such friends. Thank you for watching.